welcome everyone to webinar 1.0 Acquire and Inspire. Well, today's session is presented by Team Infinido and I, Pritipurna, will be the moderator for the evening, and also being a part of Team Infinido would like to add a few words on Infinido, an educational platform dedicated to the student community to make them informed regarding every educational news and updates. We have seen students searching websites of educational institutions, of scrolling the news feed of various sites for notifications regarding exam schedules, admissions and counseling schedules. Infinido is pledged to provide the details in one platform. Further, Infinido is soon going to have its own website and video lecture series dedicated to students for study materials for school and college students. Materials for students aspiring competitive examinations like JEE, NEET, APSC, UPSC, Banking, GATE, etc. So without any delay, I would now move on to the finest moment of the evening and like to introduce the speaker of our today's session, who is none other than the CEO of Trustnetics Technologies, the Northeast first ever cybersecurity company, Mr. Subhashmit Malakhar. Hello, sir.
Hi, how are you?
So I'm fine. Hope you are doing well.
I am
So, Team Infinity and of course all our viewers here are pleased to have you us with this evening.
very pleased to be here.
Okay, sir. So, without much delay, I would like to go on to the QA session, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Many of us had this question in their mind that what inspired you to go for cybersecurity and start Trustnetics, and how much, according to you, is cybersecurity is important in our day-to-day life?
Yeah. So I did not have to be inspired to join cybersecurity because it was my passion for a long time. Since I was a child, I really wanted to do something related to computer science because I did not know much what was there in the field when I was a young kid of, let's say, class 4, class 5. But I just knew that I had to do something about computer science, and as I grew up, I decided computer engineering is going to be the way I'm going to go. And eventually, as I started with my computer engineering, I realized that cybersecurity is my one true love. So eventually, I just learned things that I need to know to have a career in cybersecurity, and that's how I have come here.
How much important is cybersecurity in our day-to-day life, according to you?
Yeah, it's almost as important as the physical security that we have right now, because now most of our life is digital, and even right now we are conversing online. We before this we were conversing over the phone. Things, any content related ideas or everything, or any agreement papers we are sending through, uh, you know, on a message clients like WhatsApp and all. So since an important part of our lives concerns digital things, we certainly need to make cybersecurity one of our priorities.
Okay. The next question is how did you execute the idea of your startup? And what were the obstacles that were faced by you in your
Yeah.
journey from a student to an entrepreneur?
So the way I started was when it was about 1.5 years ago, when it was at that time when I was very confident about my knowledge of cybersecurity. And when I came back here, I just realized one thing, that there is no market at all related to cybersecurity. If I wanted to pursue cybersecurity while staying in this state, I had to start it here myself. So that's how it started. And the first obstacle that I faced was, obviously, I had no idea how to start a company. So I went to the people that I knew, my friends and my seniors and other people who owned companies, and they guided me a lot as to how to take the first step, what to do when you face something which is going to be difficult or like that. So that's what the journey has been like, at least in the beginning. Eventually it became smoother and smoother as we went on and on. So that's how it has been.
Okay, how did you execute your idea?
First thing when it came to executing the idea of cybersecurity was let people know that there was such a thing as cybersecurity, because people had no idea what it is here. Some people know, obviously. It's not like everyone had no idea, but it was not a generally used term. One thing that people have said is hacking. They know the term hacking because hacking is something that happens, but they had not much idea about hacking. They just felt like hacking is something that you click on your phone and then happens. You suddenly have 2 million people's online banking details on your phones, as it is shown in the movies. But it's not so at all. It's a completely different thing. So I had to make people aware that there is such a thing about known as cybersecurity. So I did a lot of workshops in the beginning. I went to different colleges. I went to different programs. I did interviews like these, like this one, and we did a lot of advertising as well. We uploaded videos, we uploaded the Instagram posts. So all of these we did, and that actually has been one of the way cybersecurity is now more well known. We have even done a lot of online campaigns where we have given information about cybersecurity, about how you can protect yourself, how you can get into the field, what you can do to learn all these things. So that was the strategy, that let people know what we have to offer, and then they will come to us for the products and services that we give.
This was a question from one of our audience.
Yeah.
Like he was very curious about like how can we hack a Facebook account? If you would like to give
Yeah,
a small insight of like how can we hack a, in short.
I actually get this question twice a week. More than that, uh, this we kind of teach it in our course so that people have some idea about how to secure their accounts, and we of course make sure ki it's not misused, but obviously it's not something that I can verbally tell you over like this only. But I will tell you what not to do so that your account is not hacked. First of all, make sure that you have two-factor authentication. Okay, 2FA. Okay, two-factor authentication, and so that if someone tries to log in, you get a message on your phone that someone is trying to log in. Is this you? Enter the OTP. That you have. That's the first step that you have to take. Or you can also use the Authenticator app that Facebook has. And whenever someone sends you a link that looks like Facebook ka link, or it at least looks like it's claiming to be Facebook and all, do not log in there. It usually is a if it's asking you to log in, then it's definitely going to be a phishing link. Phishing is when someone sends you a page which looks exactly like Facebook or any other search websites, Google and all, and it actually is not. It's just their page that they have, done that. So they will get your username and password, these credentials. They will be able to fish out as it is. So don't do these things. Be careful. Do not log in a Wi-Fi connection, and you should be fine. Do not, yeah, in a public Wi-Fi, do not log into your accounts. So do these things and your account will not be hacked. Now to those of you who are very disappointed that I'm not teaching you how to hack a Facebook account, I would suggest ki take our course at Trustnetics. That is the level 1 course and the level 2 course, where you will not only learn how to hack Facebook, you will actually learn how to protect websites as big as Facebook. So that's what you can go through here.
So they came across a question to me that recently coronavirus
Yeah,
had been a problem.
yeah,
Coronavirus had been a problem in the field of hacking and cyber
yeah,
security.
yeah.
So can you say a bit about it?
See, anything that has become very popular recently is always used by the cyber criminals to, get access to accounts and all. So when coronavirus first started surging itself in January, before it kind of became a buzzword here. So when it had not even become quite a buzzword in India, but even then we had uploaded a video that do not go for apps or PDF files that seem to contain information on how to protect yourself from coronavirus. And that's because coronavirus has become very popular at that point only. So when someone claims that download this app and you will be able to ward yourself off from coronavirus, to protect yourself, find the tips in this app. So when they will install that app, the criminal will get the access to your phone, or when they will open the PDF file on your laptop, then they will be able to access the things in your laptop. So this is what the cyber criminals do. Whenever whatever becomes very popular, this happened with TikTok a few months ago as well. When TikTok became very popular, there were many apps that resembled TikTok, and they were just actually malware. They were designed to steal your data. So that's the problem. Plus this is one thing, then now more people are online, because especially when the first lockdown started, when there was no going out, nothing else, then people came home, they stayed there, and most of the time they were only surfing on the internet all the time. Because of that, uh, since there were more people online, they it became easier for the cyber criminals to hack more people. So that's the problem here. More people online means cyber criminals feel like, okay, it's our playing field now. Let's hack the new people who are online, who didn't used to be as much online as before. So this is what coronavirus has done actually. So that's why you need to be extremely careful, especially when you have to be digitally secure. Recently, a fake Aruggo Setu, the app that the government has provided us for our safety, that has also been faked, and someone else is spreading this fake app to spy on the Indians. So this is something that is extremely dangerous, especially given that Arogya Setu app is the government is actually asking you to install it on your phones a lot, and people want to install. And if someone has given a message to you, ki go to this link and download the Arogya Setu app, you might click on it and download one app, but ultimately it might not be the real app.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is more like an interesting question I got from one of our audience. Like she asked me that is hacking legal or illegal?
Yeah, so that is a very good question, in fact. So, see, I will just introduce you to the term hacker first. So, who is a hacker? So, whenever it's so, I totally blame the movies here, because they have actually shown they have glorified hackers in a very negative manner over the years in their movies as a tool. So what happens is what a hacker is, it's just a person who will go through a system, and knows in good detail about how things work digitally. For example, a person who knows exactly how a website works or an app works, or how an operating system, Windows or Linux or Mac OS would work. That person has the capabilities to be a hacker. That person is a hacker. So basically, the person who has in-depth knowledge about computer systems, and not only in-depth, the latest knowledge of computer systems. He knows, he or she knows what's coming out, and that person is a hacker. Actually, now people think that a hacker is a person who steals stuff. Criminal is a person who steals. Hacker is a person who is just kind of a geek, who just wants to learn more and more about how, just by breaking the system, he or she wants to know that how that works. That person is a hacker, of course. And so hacking, if you are doing it on your own computer or on a virtual machine, in that case hacking is completely legal. Or if you suppose you have personally given me permission to hack your system so that I can find out if there is any vulnerability on your system, in that case it's completely legal. If I have hacked you and you have no idea about it, no matter how less I have hacked you, that is crime. That is a crime. You are not supposed to do that. So hacking is a crime, or it is not a crime, depending on the context.
Thank you so much, sir. Uh, can you tell us something about IoT based hacking?
Yeah, that is a very good question. Everything can be connected to the internet at this point, starting from air conditions, microwaves, fridge, washing machines, cars. Teslas are actually just computers, right? The Tesla cars. So they are basically a computer with wheels on them. That's what Teslas are. And we have even IP cameras, the CCTV cameras that we have now. They're directly connected to the internet instead of locally stored. And so many examples, right? And given that it starts to become a cybersecurity issue, since it's connected to the internet, and anything that can be connected to the internet is susceptible to have vulnerabilities that a criminal can use. So if it is insanely easy to hack into a IP camera, it's insanely easy. And you just need to, mostly you just need to use Google Docs, and you will be able to connect to most of the CCTV cameras around the world, which are not protected by an username or password, and username and password. And even if one part of a system, for example, if my washing machine is connected to the internet, or my printer is connected to the internet, that is my Wi-Fi, and it has a vulnerability that can be exploited by a cyber criminal, then that person, that criminal, will be able to access my network using my vulnerable washing machine. So I'll just give you one more example. It's the Mirai botnet that came out in 2016, August 2016, I think. So what happened due to the Mirai botnet is it was a malware. Okay, malware is like opposite of software. Software is good, malware, bad. Okay, so Mirai botnet is a kind of malware which affected the IoT devices, with whatever that is. Okay, all of this, and it connected to millions of IoT devices around the world. Now, the owner, the one who had attacked all these devices, it can do anything using these devices in their limited capabilities. What he used to do is attack websites and servers owned by different companies using the denial of service attack. Denial of service is when you have a website, but so many requests have been given on that website that the website is not able to respond to it anymore. For example, suppose you have 20 questions for me in this interview, but if you ask all of them at the same time to me, I will not be able to respond to any of them because I will be confused. This is what happens to website servers as well. If the capability of the website server is to serve 200 people at the same time, suddenly 50 lakh people have opened a website, the website will crash. Right? So that's what the Mirai botnet did. It was used to attack many websites and many servers and networks around the world, and it was a completely IoT issue. So DDoS attack, distributed denial of service attack, was done on them.
Sir, we have a question from the audience.
Yeah,
Like Probin Gupta, he has asked that what is the future scope of ethical hacking?
it is really good. It's really good. That's all I have to say. It's one of the best markets right now because there are going to be more companies which are going to be digital. That is not going to stop. And we have already found digital alternatives to most things, right? And there are going to be even more things of which there's going to be a digital alternative, and it's just going to be there. And all companies will require cybersecurity professionals in their team, no matter what. So in ethical hacking, the future is really good. There are bug bounty programs as well, where you can earn, and you can join a company.
Thank you, sir, and hope Praveen you have got your answer. Okay, so we have one more question. Can you comment something on Eternal Blue?
Eternal Blue. Eternal Blue, yeah. So, Edward Snowden, right? You have heard of Edward Snowden? He is one of the heroes of the hacking community. So, I actually have his picture here. This is Edward Snowden. Okay, I have his book on my table right now. Okay, so Edward Snowden, he leaked in 2013, I guess, that the US government, the National Security Agency of the USA, they have hacked everyone in the world. And because of that, there is no privacy at all. He, a few years later, this hacking group, the shadow brokers, they leaked some tools and documents about from the NSA. If you attacked a computer which ran Windows 7 and using Eternal Blue, you just need to have the IP address of that system, nothing else. You do not need to send any file to that computer or have access in any other way. Just know the IP address of that system and you will be able to hack the machine. It was that easy. So that's what Eternal Blue did. Eternal Blue was later on used to build the WannaCry. WannaCry was built. The WannaCry that ransomware ransomware became popular after WannaCry, and WannaCry was built using parts of Eternal Blue. So so what happened in WannaCry was if there are 10 computers in the same network all running Windows 7 or other Windows also in fact, if you open WannaCry on one of them, if WannaCry infects one of the systems, all of the 10 systems will get hacked. That's what used to happen. So Eternal Blue actually gave rise to that.
I have another question from Kishore Kumar Das. Can you give an insight on the ways of phishing in India in the present day and some ways to prevent it?
It's really bad. It's just, I think India can be easily called the fishing capital of the world because even recently there has been on the news that there are many hacking groups in Delhi and other parts of India, hackers for hire. Okay, hackers as a HAAS, hackers as a service. So you can just hire the hackers, and some around 20,000 rupees to a few lakhs of rupees, they will hack just about anyone for you. And some even big companies were hiring these hackers. So phishing is like, it's the stupidest thing in the world. You should not, the people who do phishing attacks, I just won't call them hackers at all. They are just doing, what they're doing is copying code from something else and putting on their own use. So just be careful. As I said in the very beginning, don't fall for phishing attacks. Don't click on links that seem like will take you to Facebook, but put a login page in front of you. And all those things that I said in your second question itself should answer this one as well. I can talk about Kevin Mitnick though. Kevin Mitnick, at one point before there was Edward Snowden, there was Kevin Mitnick, and Kevin Mitnick was FBI's most wanted criminal, one of the most wanted criminals. So he was the most famous hacker at one point. He actually owns the one of the biggest cybersecurity companies now. But back then, when he used to do illegal stuff, he used to do it just for fun, because as I said, he is like extreme level of geek, and he just loved hacking systems and social engineering, that is people hacking, is what he is expert in. And he used to do that a lot, and FBI got very scared of him at one point because they felt like he can hack anything, which was also sort of true. And they jailed him for quite some time in solidarity. After he came out, he became one of the chief hacking officers. He calls himself of KnowBe4, the company which he owns now. So he's a very cool person. Ghost in the Wires. Read that book. It's really interesting.
Thank you, sir. Okay. One more question from Manish Shah. He asked us that can you please throw some light on Tor browser and dark web?
So Tor browser, see, you can hide yourself on the internet in some ways, and Tor browser is one of the simpler ways that you can do so. And what you have to do in Tor browser is you just have to download it from the Tor website and run it. And if you go to any website from the Tor browser, you should be mostly protected from getting snooped on. It's not a foolproof way, just one of the easy ways that you can do so. So dark web is the part of the internet which you cannot access using your normal browser, like Google Chrome and Brave browser, Firefox, Safari. All these browsers cannot be used to access the dark web. You need to use Tor browser, or there is another browser known as I2P. So because these browsers, these sites, the dark web sites, do not use the traditional .com .in. They use .onion, and .onion just cannot be processed by the normal browsers. So what happens in the dark web is, it's extremely important for your own privacy. If I want to send you some kind of data that I really do not want anyone else to intercept, I will send it to you over the dark web, because dark web sites are not indexable. That is, you can't Google search dark web websites. It's impossible to do so. So that's what you do. But also, as like everything that has a good use ends up being misused as well. Dark web is misused by many cyber criminals, and just for that matter, many criminals who go on and sell illegal stuff, like hack PayPal accounts, guns, drugs, much more of all these things. So that's what the dark web is. It's really dangerous, It's also useful for the people who want to do good with it.
So there is one more question from Shaptarishi Purkashtha.
Mhm.
Like he asks that if a person wants to learn hacking and cybersecurity, from where should he learn this both topics completely?
Saptarshi Prakash, thank you so much for asking that question. Come to Trustnetics Technologies. Will teach you everything that you need to know to have a great career in cybersecurity. We actually have a very detailed course because what most other courses offer is will teach you ethical hacking, how to hack Facebook and how to hack Windows. We do not take that approach. We take approach in a more research manner, especially the new syllabus that we are going to deploy from August. That is going to take a complete research you know, point of view, because you actually will be learning the way that I actually have learned. So it won't be like ready-made tools that you will be using. You will be able to make your own tools, and we actually barely require you to know much beforehand. Just come to us with a, you know, empty slate, and we'll fill it for you. We'll teach you everything that you need to learn. All you need to do is practice, practice, and practice. Study with us for 2 months, practice for 2 months, and you should have a good career where, which you can apply anywhere in the world.
Thank you so much, sir. So, as we have already raised a question on like where we can go and get courses on cybersecurity and hacking.
Yeah.
So, would you like to tell us a bit about what kind of internships and trainings you provide in Trustnetics?
Huh. So our course is divided into two parts, level 1 and level 2. And apart from that, we do a lot of corporate trainings for which we have a completely different syllabus. And if you want to join a cybersecurity company or as a cybersecurity professional in the future, I would suggest that you take our level 1 and level 2 TCCSP Trustnetics Cybersecurity professional course. And there you will be able to learn all the things, and after that we'll have an 8-hour exam where you will be hacking 5 machines. So it will be a continuously happening 8-hour completely practical with open internet, open book that you can sit in, and you have to get 80% to pass the exam. And yeah, so after you have done well in the exam, we give you internship as well. And if you have done really well in the entire duration, because you will be watching over the students the entire time, so you have done well in level 1, level 2, the exam and the internship, then you, there is a very good chance that you would be getting a job with us as well. Yeah,
Thank you,
after
sir.
you have done internship with us, you will know enough to apply for any job in the entire world relating to cybersecurity. Obviously, entry level cybersecurity job which already earn more than any other entry level IT job, much more in fact. You will be able to apply for any of them.
Thank you so much, sir. This information will also be useful for me. Okay, so we have a question from Khairul Hassan. He asked us, can you say something about hashing of Facebook passwords?
Hashing of Facebook password. The question seems incomplete. So any password. So I'll tell you what hashing is. Hashing is basically, so if I my password, for example, is let's say, you should not have such passwords, by the way. Disclaimer: don't have a password like this. A B C D E is my password. Suppose. Okay. So now if I have typed the password and someone, you know, there is a thing known as man in the middle attack, where when you have entered your password and all, somewhere in between, before the credentials reach the website, a attacker will be able to intercept that username and password. So when you use hashing, what it will do is, instead of sending ABCDE directly, it will encrypt the data, it will encode the data, and instead of ABCDE, it will be a completely long gibberish. Okay, it will be a gibberish thing that is like completely unreadable. So from there, it's impossible to bring the password out. So the longer your password is, the gibberish also becomes longer. That's why longer password tends to be more secure, and also not just longer and just simple. Like I am dancing today is not a good password, but I am dancing today where all the I's are ones, A's are at the rates, and today may 2 is a numerical 2, that is a somewhat more secure password, and still it is not safe enough. You need to take more steps. So that is hashing. So obviously what Facebook has done, or any other website, they when they store the password in their database, they hash the password so that even the developers in Facebook and the service providers in Facebook, they are not able to access those passwords either. So keeping the information of the people safe. That's what Facebook does. So recently, though, one attack 2018, this happened, not recently. What happened was a lot of Facebook's passwords were leaked, and they were in plain text. They were not in hash. They were in plain text. So maybe our dear friend is talking about that. So, but usually, not only usually, it is required that websites use hashing for the purpose of security.
Thank you, sir. So, can you say us that how can we check how much our passwords are secured? Where can we check how much our passwords are secured, or where can we check?
So there is this website known as How Secure Is My Password .com or .net. Just you can just Google How Secure Is My Password, and you will come to that website. Don't put your real password there because you never know,
Okay.
right? So just put a similar password there, and it will show you that how long it will take for a computer to crack your password. So a password like ABC123 will be hacked instantly. It takes this seconds to hack such a password. If you have given a password that I said earlier, such a password is going to be more, it will take a few hundred years to hack that machine, hack that password. So go to that website and have a look at the way they have you have secured your password.
Okay, sir. So, we have a question from Lutfur Rahman. He asked
Huh.
us about what are burp suits and black hat.
Burpsuit is a tool using which you can test the security of websites, and Black Hat is a kind of hacker. There are many kinds of hackers. They are commonly classified into three: black hat, gray hat, and white hat. White hat are the ones who will take your permission to hack your machine to secure you. That's the purpose of a white hat hacker. Uh, Gray hat, I'll come to gray hat. Black hat is the one who will hack anyone or anything as long as they get some profit out of it. That's a gray hat hacker. Sorry, that's a black hat hacker. So it's a proper cyber criminal. And gray hat hackers are just usually known as hacktivists. So these are just activists who hack. Okay, so like Anonymous, they hack corrupt governments, etc. to as to whistleblow about the corruption. They have hacked the US police departments recently to protest about all the brutal killings that they have done. So that's gray hat hacking. There's hacktivism. So hacktivists are grey hat hackers. They're not exactly criminals, but what their intention is not bad, but also it's not legal, the things that they do.
Okay. So, sir, we have two questions from Probin Gupta. He asked that which are the top companies which hire ethical hackers and where should he start from to become an ethical hacker?
You start at Trustnetics to become an ethical hacker. Uh, you become a cybersecurity professional when you come to Trustnetics, and the top companies are there are so many companies. So I love the way Facebook hires the hackers because they have a competition every year where they have the people come and have them hack Facebook. So the ones that are successfully able to do so get the job. So all of the big companies will hire ethical hackers, and let's just call them cybersecurity professionals. So hackers are in big demand right now, and even in India we have many companies, even Infosys, Wipro, and all the ones that we have in India. They will. You got in Cognizant, right, recently? So congratulations about that. And Cognizant hires hackers as well. So they are actually paid a lot. One of my friends actually works at VMware, which is a very prestigious company, and they require hackers. So every digital services company, every software company requires Microsoft. They require hackers. So every good company requires hackers. So it's really good if you have a profession in cybersecurity. It's a really good question as well. I'm actually getting good question today.
Okay, sir, we have a question from Pragyadeep Das. He wanted to know what do you think about the return of WannaCry like ransomware with SMB Ghost?
Very good question. So not only the SMB that problem, but see, WannaCry was a long time ago, and it was comparatively simple. Now, almost weekly, a new ransomware is coming out. So the DJVO stop, that is the ransomware which is a huge threat according to me right now, because they started last year, I think, not last year, a couple of years back, that ransomware started, and then last from since last year in August or so, they have started using RSA encryption, which is much more difficult to decrypt. So all the files which have been encrypted by the ransomware, it will not get easily decrypted now. So I actually have people who have come to me many times. One just came last week with a ransomware that came out couple of weeks ago. So fast these ransomware are spreading. So the it's really bad at this point, and the only thing that you can do is be really careful, because even the latest version of Windows is getting hacked like anything. You the easiest thing that you can do, you know what that is? Don't install cracked software. Don't do that. When you install cracked software, you are setting yourself up to be hacked. It's like you have built a good house, and the door you have used is not of wood, or even you have not used a collapsible gate, you have just put a bamboo door in the front. There is not going to be any use at all. If you have bought a 2 lakh ka laptop, and if you have used a pirated Windows, it's not going to be pirated Windows in a 2 lakh laptop, obviously. But if you have bought a good laptop and if you have installed some pirated Photoshop or pirated any other tool, then it's not going to be useful at all, because this pirated software ka jo crack hai, in that crack only the ransomware is. So it's not with the people who are cracking the software is not doing due to the goodwill of their heart. They are getting something. No, almost no one does things for free. Okay, especially someone who is doing something as sketchy as cracking a software. They're not doing it कि अरे बंदे को help करते हैं they want to learn how to use Photoshop. That's not why they are doing it. They are putting some malicious thing in that crack that you are so happily double clicking on and doing whatever they ask. They are either hacking your machine or they are just putting ransomware there. That's what happens. Ransomware is the single most biggest threat to cybersecurity.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you, and also thank you,
Welcome.
Pragyati, for the question.
Good question.
Uh,
Really good question.
okay, we have a question from Joydeep Nath. He asked us that is Tor browser safe to use?
Huh? Tor is very safe to use as long as you have downloaded from, as I keep saying, download things. So it's not only for Tor. When you have downloaded something, just download it from the legitimate site. Okay. So Tor browser you are downloading, download it from Tor. Tor का जो website है, download it from there, nothing else. So as long as you are using Tor to do good things, you are safe. If you have gone to insecure websites, then using Tor is not going to be a factor there. Using if you have gone to a malicious site, then whether you have gone through Tor or you have gone through a certain operating system which is not Windows, for instance, it doesn't matter. If you have gone to bad sites, then you are actually setting yourself up to be hacked, and it doesn't depend on Tor. So if you have gone to dark websites which are really bad, and in that case you might get hacked. So it actually doesn't depend on Tor. Tor is pretty secure. They use the Firefox as base, so Firefox is also that thing secure. So it doesn't matter on Tor ultimately. It depends on where you are, what you are browsing.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
And also thank you, Joydeep, for the question. We have two more questions from Lutfur Rahman. He asked us that what are the tools people use for ethical hacking, and use of Lucky Patcher app is it good or bad?
I
Lucky
have
Patcher.
no idea what Lucky Patcher app is. It I won't judge what it is, but I have actually no idea what a Lucky Patcher app is. I don't know if it doesn't sound like when you say patch, it actually relates to reverse engineering in computer science. And so Lucky Patcher app is not something that I have heard of. So even though I have done reverse engineering, so also what was the first part of the question?
What are the tools people use for ethical hacking?
There are many tools, but tools पे नहीं जाना है. It's more about your knowledge, because tools तो कोई भी use कर लेगा. Like it's like driving a car and being able to make your own car, right? So driving a car, you can only earn or learn so much. But if you're able to build cars, then you can sell the car to earn multiple times more, right? So that's the difference between using a tool. So here the tool is the car. So I am driving every day, I'm not earning from it. But if I start a business of selling cars that I have built, like Tesla has, then that will bring me a lot of profit. So I actually go for knowledge than for tools, because tools to like available hai. Lekin knowledge is something that you have to gain by yourself.
Okay, sir. I had a question on a tech startup. Like
Yeah.
as Trustnetics is a tech startup, so
Yeah.
what should be the primary requirements if anyone is aspiring to start a tech startup?
The primary requirements, I have no idea actually. I'll tell you what I had to start my company. I just had the knowledge about how things work. I had some knowledge on business because I had been doing some business work as well on the side after leaving college. and I was very confident on my abilities as a programmer and a hacker. So that's how that is what I took as a minimum requirement, and I had some money saved that I could invest to have my company registered. So as a tech startup, you do need to think of some things, like you will need uh, access to a lot of internet, and you will need hardware, you will need processing power, depending on see, tech is a broad word, right? In tech you also have startups like me, which are doing cybersecurity services and training. There are startups which are making websites, for which you need to have detailed knowledge of building websites and apps. And there are startups which are selling IoT devices. So for all of these, the requirements are completely different. For AI and ML startups actually need some more investment because you need to buy processing power. So yeah, that's how it is. You actually for every different kind of thing, it's going to be different in a tech startup.
Okay. Sir, would you like to share something on your recent project you are working on, if you don't mind?
All our projects are very secret. I can barely talk much about our projects, but we are actually trying to make people more aware. Recently, so many people that I personally know have been hacked, and so we are trying to start new campaigns online as well as offline. So offline campaigns are far away because of the entire pandemic scenario, and we are trying to start campaigns to make people more and more aware, because it's just becoming really sad the way people are losing money, their data, and their privacy as well. So this is something that we're trying to do.
Okay. So, sir, what is the future planning of Trustmatics in the upcoming 5 years? Like,
5 years is actually we have plans to expand as much as possible, not only in just the digital security area. Then we also need to provide services to all the, not only companies, the people. And we want cybersecurity to be a buzzword for everyone out there. People have to have this in the back of their minds, that if I take this certain step, cyber in the cyber security point of view, is that going to be safe? This is not there in people at all at this point, and this is what we want to change as soon as possible. So in the 5 years, hopefully, due to us, this is what we're going to do.
so we have one more question. What is the difference between vulnerability scanning and penetration testing?
Penetration testing is when you test the software, when you actually properly hack the software to it's there hasn't have to be a difference between the two. It's just two things that have to be done together. So VAPT, they're together, like they're known together. Okay, they're called together as VAPT, vulnerability analysis and penetration testing. So what you do in VAPT is you take any system. Okay, it could be a person also. Okay, and it could be a website, or it could be a local network, like in an office or a college, like in your college as well. So what it entails is going through port by port, device by device, and person by person, network by network even, and just finding out any vulnerability that there are. That's what you do in VAPT. So there isn't a difference between the two. They're just the things that go hand in hand together. So penetration testing basically means when you hack the product that you need to find the vulnerabilities in, and by hacking you find the vulnerabilities.
Thank you so much, sir. So, would you like to share something on cryptocurrency and its future?
Yeah, so cryptocurrency is Uh, See, Bitcoin. I just talked about Tor. I heard about Bitcoin like I don't know 15 years ago or something, and not 15, maybe yeah. So 12 to 13 years ago, I heard about Bitcoin, and it was used because it was completely untraceable. So people have liked it because it's a very decentralized system, and to be honest, I'm not quite sure about the entire cryptocurrency scene, and I have not invested in any cryptocurrency right now. Blockchain, the technology that all of these cryptocurrencies use, on the other hand, blockchain is a good technology. As I said, decentralization of data. So while power hungry, blockchain still is a good technology that can be used for proper security in the future.
Okay, the last question for the evening. As you are an inspiration for the youth like us, so would you
I
like to
really think
share
so. Uh,
who is the role of inspiration in your life? Role model, like a role model.
uh, so I actually cannot name one person who is a role model, but my parents play a big role in how I view the world and how I should deal with people and how I should do good for others. So they certainly are a big inspiration for me. There is just one thing that inspires me. Like it's not like we have to learn from the bad things, right? He was not the worst person in the world, but also he did some good things. I use a lot of Apple devices even right now, and the reason Apple devices are completely different from all of these are because they have taken a completely different step. You have heard of this book, no? Zero to One,
Yes, sir.
right? So Apple is the prime example of zero to one. So would you just tell me, because I heard Simon Sinek say this, that would you buy a music player from a computer manufacturer like Dell? Would you buy a Dell music player, audio player? No, right? But you are buying iPod from Apple, which is a computer manufacturer. How? Because Dell made a music player, it's not sold much. Sony used to make music player so good, but when Apple came into the market, that is a completely different thing now. The entire thing changed. Podcasts, thanks to Apple. Online music, thanks to Apple. Apple Music and all. Spotify system, all of this came thanks to Apple only. So just the way his mind worked, the innovation that was there, or at least the ability to see, even though the thought might not have been innovative, the ability to see that product being used by all the people in the world, plus his entire OCD about perfectionism, that the product has to be perfect. These two things are really inspire me of Steve Jobs. So I would say in tech, Steve Jobs is one of my role models. I try to whatever product we have, we try to make it the very perfect as possible, and we keep improving the products as well. My the best product that I have come up with is our cybersecurity course, and that's the thing that I'm improving all the time, because in cybersecurity things become old very fast. Because of that, we try to incorporate every new thing that is there in cybersecurity as soon as possible. So sometimes even the next batch gets to learn something more because it wasn't there when the previous batch started. So we try to keep it as latest as possible, and we are completely overhauling the syllabus at this point. We have all the time right now, right? Because we are not starting a digital course soon, because our course is so engrossing that you need to be present in person. So when that is going to be possible, there is going to be a very good course. for people to have a career in cybersecurity, not to just hack Facebook accounts.
Thank you, sir. So, as a part of
Welcome.
Team Infinido, as you know that
Uh,
today's webinar 1.2 is presented by our Team Infinido. So, I would
yeah.
like to add a few words on it. That it is an
Right.
educational platform which is dedicated to the student community to make them informed regarding every educational news and updates. And like it is soon going to have its own website and video lecture series dedicated to students for study materials for school and college students. For students aspiring competitive examinations like JEE, APSC, UPSC, NEET, etc. So, sir, would you like to add a few words for our team, which
I'd
will
love to
act as
because
a
as yeah, I have been student until very recently, right? And to be honest, we are still students, and you need to just not knowing the actual news is something which is the biggest cause of anxiety in students. So most of the things are rumors. Only one out of 10 things that we get to hear ends up being a true news. So considering that, it's really important that there be one platform. So I think Infinido is a really good idea. It's a good platform which has a lot of potential. So I would just urge the team that go ahead and do as much as possible for the students. And I really feel the education system is something which is really important, and to nurture the young minds. And yeah, so just keep doing this, keep doing this kind of webinars as well, so that more and more people get inspired. I hope I'm able to inspire at least one person to start a
yes,
career
of
in
course, sir.
cybersecurity, or at least in the tech, or at least to do more in their lives. And yeah, so keep doing that work. For any help, come to me. uh, you can also contact me over phone number, Facebook, LinkedIn. I usually reply to LinkedIn messages more. I don't reply to I'm not that active on Facebook. But and for the team of Infido as well, uh, contact me for any help you want. Just keep bringing good content every day, and you are going to be really successful.
Thank you so much, sir, from all of us
Welcome, and thank you for
from
having
Team
me.
Infinito. Thank you, sir. Sir, at last, would you like to give a small message to all our viewers who took out their time for this wonderful session with you?
To everyone who watched, I just actually saw the name of one of my very old friends who has just started watching. So thank you, everyone who have been patient with us all this while. I'm really happy that you have watched, and will do more and more and more to make sure that you guys are more happy in the future.
Thank you so much, sir,
Thank you to you as well. Bye
for
bye.
sharing.